All right, we're live. Sorry, everybody. We're trying to get some
How's it
things
going?
together, and I was having some difficulties. Who all's in here? Can you tell? I
That's
can't.
all right. Tiger 454. Hello. SKM Kyle. Good. All right. We got two.
All right, works for us. Sorry about that, though.
I'm plugging my headphones. I can hear my.
Hear yourself think a little bit.
I better mute this just in case. No, maybe not. It's okay. All right.
So what you? Before we get into the story, we'll try to, or the subject we're going to talk about. We'll wait see if a few other people hops on here. Hey, Native, what's up, brother? And
Native.
We'll kind of go from there. But Milton Roots.
Yeah. I'm really excited. I can see the chat now. I got my computer running. I can see the chat. I'm really excited. Native, how you doing, buddy?
Mine's just the
see it.
little on the side. Hello? Yeah, I can see it on the side of the phone this time. So, hey, stepping outside the box. What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Been a minute.
All right.
Keep looking at your
my brother,
your page or your YouTube videos, and I'm not seeing the new ones, man. So, anyways, before we hop into this, what you been up to lately, there, Heartland?
Oh, we're trying to get out of this tiny little house, trying to get out into the country. So we're making a big move soon. And we have a really good prospect. So everybody out there, keep your fingers crossed and pray for us that we get this house. And it's on some land, and we could really use it. And it's been something I've been thinking about, and the wife and I have been saving and trying to get out there. So that way we can spread out, and I can really put to work all the preparations, on the bread.
I sure hope you get it. Is it pretty close to the town you all work in and everything, or?
Oh yeah, I'm within 15 minutes still.
Oh, okay.
Of town, but town's small,
Well, yeah.
And you go 5 minutes out, and you're out in the hinterlands of Kansas. So, and I love it.
Heck yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty nice looking little town, though. I mean, it isn't a real big town, but it is a nice looking town. When we was up there checking it out, it was a pretty impressive little town. And then it wasn't very far outside of town where you had the shoot range and everything. So it's all kind of handy. Now, where you're moving to, is it kind of near that area, or are you going to be further away from where we went out shooting at?
This is the opposite direction of the way we went shooting. This is west of town, and actually, just to find out, I found out that the neighbor is pretty good friends with the family of the house that we'd be getting, and there's a range on the property.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, that's another reason why I'm like, come on, let's make this happen. We're waiting for word, though. We're waiting for some word, but it's good to see a Militant Roots and Ghetto. Am I in Oklahoma? Yeah, right.
It's not too bad in Oklahoma. I was just there not too long ago.
No, I'm in Kansas. I'm in Kansas, man. I'm not in Oklahoma. I'm in let's see, East Central. Let's just say that.
Yeah, East Central.
I don't want to give too much away. People might come and knock on my door.
I've already been tracking you on your phone, man. So.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Hey, that road goes two ways, man.
Yeah. When we came up and hung out, man, I just whatever you do. Yeah, I can't do that. Technology.
Yeah, that was a good day. That was a very awkward first meeting, but that was a good day.
Yeah. Well, that's because them guys were cracking jokes, man. They're like, "Yeah, you ain't never met this dude before." I'm like, "No, man. We just talked back and forth on YouTube." And they're like, "Yeah, this, set up this horrible scenario on what could possibly happen." I'm like, "Yeah, that could." And then exactly what they said happened. Your kid answered the door, and I just turned bright red, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "Where's your dad at, man?"
I knew you were coming.
Like, oh my god, this is horrible.
I knew you were coming. I was trying to get things Yeah, I was trying to get down there so fast, dude.
Jeez, yeah, that was horrible, man. I was about ready to
Someone at the
fell
door.
off that porch, take off running, man.
You were waiting for like my mom to holler down the stairs. Hey, Lance.
Yeah. I was like, all right, man, we're out of here, guys.
YouTube friends are here.
Yeah. Even
But
everybody
anyway.
was like, I can't believe we go down there. I'm like, man, if you don't go and try it, you don't know. You know, I'm goofy enough, I guess, to where I make the drive and just see what happens, I guess. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad you did, man. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, it was worth it. It's a good time and good to actually be able to meet you and everything. And that's why, like, the summer just kind of got away from us. I thought we were surely going to be able to head that way again. And then now it's cold, but I don't know.
It?
Well,
it's be like
it's
70
not.
tomorrow.
Actually, yeah, that's the crazy thing, man.
You getting the high wind advisory too, like 60, 70 mile an hour winds that they're talking about?
Yeah. We haven't seen it. It was a little windy, but we have the advisory. Hey, Rip Curl, what's up, man?
Rip's in the house. Okay. Well, it looks like we got some heavy hitters in here. You want to get on this?
Yeah, sure. We can start
this
talking about
scenario
this because I want to be off of here within the hour. For
absolutely. I
everything
understand.
else that's going on this evening for everybody. So, basically, we're gonna do the stuck in grizzly country kind of scenario, following after a son and a father that went up there, Neil, which he kind of dabbled in commercial real estate in Oklahoma City, no less. And Blake was at this point in his third year of medical school. He had been in Oklahoma before this as a financial advisor, I believe, and went to Alaska to finish up in his medical schooling. And as his father's 65th birthday, they decided, you're going to have to help me out with the name of the river, though, because I have horrible pronunciation. But in Alaska,
the Cayucook River is just north of the Arctic Circle.
Yeah, it's huge, unbelievably huge. And so they decided they were going to go, rafting down this river. And the raft basically is a pontoon boat with, a small pontoon boat with, like rafts on each side, basically, blow up rafts instead of like a regular.
Yeah, rigid. It was like rigid frame.
Yeah. And so they had to get flown into this area, and they got dropped off in like a sandbank to start this even. So they're 60 miles away from the closest town when they get dropped off out in Alaska. And it was, can't remember what time of year it was, but it was still when the ice was just starting to get real good and melted, and you're supposed to be able to go out and do this type of stuff. So anyways, they get dropped off on this sandbank, and they weren't in a hurry to really get started because they had 4 or 5 days to make this trip, and this downriver trip. And so with that in mind, safety was still a little bit of a concern for Blake because he knew the type of weather and everything like that. So he took a little extra time to rearrange his gear and stuff like that. And one of the things he did at the time he didn't realize was the thing that potentially saved their life was he slipped a regular knife and a lighter, a real good lighter he had, into his shorts pocket. And then they just kind of hung out for the night and then set off on their journey the next day. And so they're floating down the river, and they both started noticing, some ice buildup on each side of the river. And they didn't really think too much about it because of the time of the year. But as they kept going a little further down, it kept getting a little thicker and a little further out or whatever. And they still just kind of kept enjoying the scenery, going along. Well, after this one turn that was just, an average bend in the river that in their minds they weren't even thinking about. Well, as soon as they made this bend, they seen that the ice was completely across the river at this point. And Blake was the one on the oars, but so he was the younger guy and in fairly decent shape. Right. He was 38, and his dad was 65, of course. But the current was so strong that he was fighting it, but he couldn't really, start going backwards. And so they just continued on. They ran into this big, sheet of ice, shelf of ice, and it flipped the raft over. These guys went down underneath the ice for God only knows how long. Neither one of them could really keep track of time. They both said it basically stood still. But at some point, they were able to pop up underneath here, and they had like a little air pocket, and they both recalled just, hey, I'm sorry, Dad, because it was his idea, so he felt horrible about it. And that was about all they got before they were sucked under again and spit out. And so they got really beat up doing this. They had cuts and stuff all over their bodies. Took a pretty good beating getting out of there. Blake made it on the shore first and then ran down the shoreline after his dad because his dad was still floating down the river now. And he was barefoot at this time, freezing cold, running barefoot, gets to his dad, runs a big, long, like 10-foot long branch out there for his dad to grab onto, pulls him ashore. He hurries up and they, get away from the river. They start kind of stripping down to start a fire, start trying to warm up a little bit. And that's kind of where the story began, I guess, because they sat there trying to, get warm and just get their thoughts about them. And they knew that it was a long ways away from the city, and they are in bear country and everything like that. So
yeah, he had remembered that he put the lighter in there, and all they had were the clothes on their back, the 2 life vests, and a map. That's it.
They did have a map, at least.
That's all it got. That's what you got to work with. But apparently he was able to get a fire started pretty quick.
Yeah, and that's pretty impressive. That's a pretty damn good lighter, actually.
With a wet lighter. I mean, it's probably soaked. So
yeah.
I don't know. It might have been something he got up there in Alaska. They're used to that type of stuff. But
possibly. That's a hell of a way to be stuck in Alaska, though. But one guy barefoot, I can't remember if his dad is, and they got a lighter and a knife, and they start out wet and beat up. So you got bears, wolves, all the good stuff that are out there. And at one point, so at this point is when they kind of, they sat around for a day or two. I think it was the next day though, because his dad was in pretty bad shape. They hiked for quite some time. After that, after they kind of got dried up, they hiked some time after that, I think. But his dad was in really bad shape, and for his age, they decided it was better just to kind of, sit down and go ahead and set up camp again. But I think the following day after that, so it would have been 2 days later, is when Blake decided that he was going to trek off and go try for help. And that's where he had to leave his dad behind with a fire and hope for the best that his dad could make it until they found help, which was at least 60 miles away.
Yeah.
Crazy train.
The reason he got to that idea, or the reason he came to that conclusion that he's got to go, is because the bush pilot, wouldn't come looking for them for 6 days. Right. Because at the 6-day mark, that's how long their rafting trip was going to be, was 6 days. And if they didn't show up there at the 6-day mark, then he would start coming around. And they got capsized and in this situation on day 1. So now they're in some serious trouble here at this point.
Yeah, that's a hell of a way to try to start off your little trip. That that's a lot of days. Even in somewhere like where we live in Kansas, it's pretty mild. You have your extremes, of course, but it's not just constant horrible temperatures. We got cougars, mountain lions, I guess, cougars, whatever, at best, but they're pretty slim pickings. You got coyotes. Now, coyotes will attack, of course, but they're nothing like a wolf or a bear. And for this type of situation in Alaska, I would be assuming that they were both pretty shook up and trying, their minds are racing, trying to figure out exactly what the hell to actually do. So that being said, in this situation, knowing you got to hike 60 miles in bear country, wolf, everything like that, and you got the knife and a ladder, and you leave your dad with an already lit fire in bushcraft shelter. I mean, literally, it's just sticks they put together to try to stay warm. What would you do? How would you handle this situation with exactly what they have, not with what you have as your everyday carry or anything like that? This is your exact situation.
Yeah. First of all, I'm going to be building myself a signal fire as quick as possible, and I'm gonna start setting shit on fire, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make it look like there's a forest fire coming, you know. And if I'm gonna put myself in Dad's shoes first, just because he has to keep that fire going, and if he's gonna stay there and maintain the fire, so he's gonna have to do. He's gonna have to be looking for food while he's waiting. He's got plenty of water because I'm sure there's the water's right there, so he doesn't have to worry about that. And I'm sure there's not going to be like giardia or any kind of other crazy things because that's some of the freshest water you're going to get. I'm imagining so. But he's going to have to be able to get some of that water. But then food is going to be big. I don't know how if he can't fashion something. If I can't fashion something out of the sticks and stuff around me or capture something, sharpen a stick on a freaking rock to make it sharp, make a spear for protection, because I wouldn't be able to sleep very good at night knowing that you're stuck out in the middle of nowhere. So I'm going to make myself some sort of a weapon for protection. I'm going to keep that fire roaring hot, and I'm going to build other fires. That way, maybe someone can see the smoke. 65 miles. You throw some greenery on there. It's going to smoke pretty good.
Oh yeah.
And if there's any sort of rangers or ranger fire towers out there, they're going to be seen. They're going to hone in on your location, and that's probably what I would do, because if I'm the dad and the shoes, I'm out of shape, I'm not going to be able to make it out like that. That's probably what I'd be doing for him. As far as the kid, I say kid, I'm 38 right now. So, yeah, I'm going to be hoofing it. And, so he took the knife with him and he's got the lighter. So he's got ways to make snares. He's got ways to make fires. And so he's in a better situation. I would be in a better situation if having just those few items, the lighter, those things, the orange vest, and so he has ways to procure. I would have ways to procure. I keep trying to put myself in that. Okay, so I'd have ways to procure my food. Definitely, with the map, I'd be making the straightest line possible, and navigate. Hopefully, I wouldn't be going in circles or going zigzagging, because you want to be able to pick a straight line and get to an area, especially if you're going over hills and through creeks and stuff. It's really difficult to make a straight line through the mountains,
Right.
So getting your bearings, making sure you're going in the right direction, or you're following the river.
Yeah, that's what I say. Follow the river.
Follow the river. I might have actually tried to recover the raft. That might have been my first thought. Yeah. Was to try to recover that raft, and if I wouldn't give it too many tries, because if you keep trying and you keep failing, you're going to start to get that kind of panic mode, and move on. If something isn't going to work, you got to move on from that situation and come up with it. Keep going while you still have the strength you have. So yeah, having what they had, that's what I would do in both situations with that. And I'm sure you always have really good ideas, man. What do you do? What would you do if you were the dad?
Really good ideas. Yeah. Yeah, I'm like you with the raft. That's the first thing I want to start out with, honestly, is going back and trying to get the raft to make some type of cover. Plus, since they said that, there's lots of rubber parts on that raft, it would have made good for, hauling water, doing multiple things with. So I would have tried to at least recover the raft. But that's a pretty large river, and I don't know how far away they actually got sucked away from that thing. So you'd have to also keep that in mind, with everybody, two parties being injured, how far do you have to backtrack to try to get the raft? Not backtrack, because you're actually going in the right direction. potentially, because you got 60 miles behind you at least, but 5 days on the raft in front of you. So it'd still be better to backtrack in my mind to go try to get the raft. But yeah, if you didn't get it, then, move on with it, go to something else. And of course, that's after you dry it off. His first instinctual thought, sorry, let me backtrack. His first instinctual thought was perfect. Get your wet clothes off, get a fire started, get warmed up, everything like that, but then go see where your raft is, see if you can recover that to make a better shelter. Now, if you can't recover it, then yes, he moved on to a really good thing. He had already built them somewhat of a makeshift shelter, and they started a fire. Now, personally, I think they started trying to walk out a little early, in my opinion, because of the injuries they both sustained. I think I would have tried to, keep the fire going really good, try to find some type of food to eat, even set some sort of traps possibly, because you got a knife, you can make some little traps to try to attain or fish or whatever, somehow to try to get some sort of calories and let your body heal up a little bit, at least another extra day before you start, or trying to make something to put on your feet, out of what little clothing you do have, before I just started hiking out of there, because the Blake's running around barefoot, and
right.
I don't remember exactly what all he had on, but if he had any kind of covering over his arms or anything, I would have been personally, even a t-shirt, I would have peeled that sucker off and split it in half and wrapped my feet up, just to get some kind of cushion.
Yeah.
With that. Now then, like, to split them up, like you were saying. So if I was the father and all that, I probably would have made a horrible decision and tried to convince the son to stay for a lot. I would have tried extremely hard to get them to stay, just because, in my mind, in a survival scenario, it's better to stay together. However, if you're off the path too far, they probably ain't going to find you. Now, like you said, building a huge fire like that, that's another reason why I try to stay together, is you can work together to build a huge fire. What is it they say to do, like 3 separate fires is the equals the SOS, right. I think. So, separate your fires out huge. I'd try to make them as big as you can, separate them out, and kind of stick together. Plus, if you have 3 separate good fires going, hopefully your odds would be a little better to keep bears and wolves and things like that away at night. So that's where I would try, but in the end, it probably would have worked out the same, because you can only argue to a certain extent, or try to argue to a certain extent before you're just fighting each other instead of making any headway. And if the boy was dead set on going, then at some point, I guess you just agree to disagree, but go ahead and go. And I'd give him everything I could, as far as, if I had the waders, extra clothes, anything I could, because I already have a fire established. Now, it could go out easily. There's many things that would potentially put it out, but in my mind, that's probably where I would have been in a bad position, because I would have gave the boy as much, my son, I would have given him as much stuff as I could to help ensure that his survival over mine, I guess.
Yeah.
But I would have tried to keep them fires going, because at one point, if I remember right in the story, the father woke up with his shelter on fire, and he got out of there, and then he had to just sit there and watch it burn.
Oh, right. That's right.
Okay, yeah, and he was so disappointed, he didn't even think about trying to get more stuff to put on the fire, or to try to get it to a different area or anything like that. So he just watched it burn and kind of go out, for the most part, instead of trying to build off of it and then build it back better. And I know another part of it was because of his age. He was 65, and his hands had gotten, horribly tore up. So he couldn't hardly, do any more. He was getting to the ends of what he could potentially do. So,
and I know we got 17 watching. You guys in the chat know that the surface of the ice, that's typically really flat, maybe a little lumpy, but underneath it's jagged. and that's what they were rubbing their knuckles on. They were trying to crack at it, so it's sharp, and it was scraping up their hands. They had cuts on their face and scalp.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they were clawing at the ice underneath there, and no joke.
I imagine they were
I
trying
could
to catch on.
see him not being able to work with his hands too much, and boy, oh boy, when your hands go, you're that takes you out of the game, man.
Yeah,
that takes you out of the survival game real fast.
Yeah, it sure does. That's one of the reasons why. Was it 2 days ago? I got an extra set of gloves for me and my wife, leather work gloves, and got them set aside out in an area where we store some stuff and put them in a bin and everything that could keep them in good shape. And it was so like later on, if you potentially couldn't afford gloves or there was nowhere to get gloves, we'd have at least, one set of good gloves that are handy put back for us. Now we've got some warmer gloves that are put back, but these are just leather work gloves. And I intend on getting a couple more pairs just because of what you said. You screw your hands up, that's a bad deal. So working or thinking of, a SHTF situation, then, I was putting back some extra leather gloves for us. So
yeah, man.
But then going back to being on the separated part and going with the son's side of it, that'd be a hard decision to walk away from your father and leave him out there alone in country where there's predators, big predators. He only has the fire. He's weak. He's hurt. He's hungry. All these things, and to walk away, that would be a very difficult decision. Now, Ohio Pepper, you're 100% correct. Hands and feet are vital. That's another reason why I would have tried to wrap my feet up with a t-shirt or anything.
Yeah.
But, at some point he obviously came to the conclusion that his father couldn't walk no more. And he thought that for sure his only hope was for him to go try to get more on a beaten path so that somebody could actually find him. So I probably would have came up with the same scenario at some point to just, I would have looked back a million times probably and just kept walking though to try to get some sort of help. But boy, I think he let out of there with a knife and a lighter to go 60 miles in Alaska.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a ballsy move. And that's where, and actually while he was walking at one point, he had been singing and, to try to help keep his spirits up, but also to hopefully, ward off any predators. Because
alert. Yeah.
What's that?
Alert the animals.
Yeah. Because in that article, it was saying that that's one thing you should do is try to be loud because it'll hopefully keep them away. I don't know if that's the case, but that's what he was doing. And even with all that singing and being really loud, he ended up stumbling across the grizzly bear. And he didn't actually stumble on it, but, he got extremely close to it and, ended up working his way away from it. But, geez. Yeah. But yeah, I would have tried to stick along the river as best as possible because, you got dropped off at the river and hopefully a river leads to the town. If not, it surely leads to some sort of a road at some point. The river will lead to something because generally towns of some sort are based around rivers anyway, so you should come across a road or a town at some point. Plus, it gives you access to all the water you could drink because it should be pretty clean water there, I would assume, and potentially getting fish from it or, something from there. So, yeah, I would just stayed on that river as best I could. I would have tried to keep some kind of fire going as much as possible every time I tried to rest. Now, I don't think he took very much resting periods. I think he walked for over 12 hours at a time is what he was saying. Basically, dark to dark, and that's a pretty ballsy move, too, to keep walking into dark instead of trying to find shelter. Like, I know for help.
I think somewhere in here it said the first day, 15 miles.
Jesus.
I think he made it 15 miles the first day, which is pretty damn good for 12-hour hike. Right. Okay. He stopped to build a fire and dry his clothes. Yeah.
So 12 hours with cut up, beat up feet.
Oh man.
Hungry, cold.
Yeah.
And that's a hell of a hike there, man. Especially also in that article, I think he was saying when he was walking, it was like walking on boulders or bowling balls. I mean, sorry, not boulders, like walking on bowling balls, because it was slick and just horribly hard and uneven everywhere. So it was pretty nasty terrain to be walking around in. I couldn't imagine walking 12 hours in that, especially 12 hours injured.
No, that's making my knees and my feet hurt just thinking about it. So,
Yes.
no.
Now have your knees and your feet
He's
cut
got
up.
those. He's got those characteristic traits of being a survivalist. Survivor, and that's what it means. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. Just
and to get yourself in that mindset to where you actually, you're able to keep pushing yourself that hard and that far, to keep good enough positive thoughts in your head that and motivational thoughts to keep yourself walking and forcing yourself through that type of stuff is definitely something that guy has well over a lot of people.
Blake is walking thinking, my dad's back there, good old Pops is back there waiting for me, counting on me. So that's going to give you more drive.
Oh yeah.
Way more drive. Is just because that there's a soul, your dad's back there counting on you. And if you don't make it, he's lost. So to me, I think that would push me even harder.
Oh yeah.
So, and the dad, you could tell he had slipped into, he was starting to get depressed because if you're sitting there just watching your little house, your little shelter burn and do anything about it, that's defeat. And that's rough. Well, he was a real estate agent from Oklahoma. That was just his first time on a river in, Alaska. So I could see him being defeated very easily by that type of situation. So, what do we got here? Hi, everybody. I know I'm kind of falling back here. The Prepping Mantis. How's it going? Take America back from Israel. How you doing? My name is nobody. I like that. Sorry.
Yeah, I keep trying to hit the comments here, and whatever I do, it somehow makes my screen giant, so then I can't see anything again.
Yeah.
So I lost all the comments again. So if you see anything interesting there, Heartland, let me know. But
okay, I got to breeze back just real quick, and then back up through them real quick. Oh, hey, you switched us.
Yeah, I did it twice. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Cold weather sucks.
Stop touching everything.
And for Julian said cold weather sucks. Yes, it does. Yep, I would actually prefer mountainous range there too, Tiger. Trade off. Mountains, beach, forest. Experience.
All right, boss. Well, what about hindsight on this one? How would you handle this differently looking back on this situation?
Hindsight for me is on this situation's pretty cut and dry because having if I had lived up there like this boy, knowing the weather patterns, knowing the season, And we all have these cool weather apps and things on our phones that we can look in advance and do some recon, and kind of look ahead and make sure that it's going to be safe to make this journey. I know he probably scheduled this adventure with his dad, so you couldn't kind of like maybe get your reimbursed if you canceled because of bad weather or whatever. I don't know what the situation was, but a little bit more recon on what the situation is going to be like on the river at the time. So yeah, on my person, I'm going to be carrying a lot more than just a lighter, and I'm going to make sure that I have a firearm, probably a big bore for where you are. So I'm going to go with a pistol, more like a revolver, I guess. That way it's very reliable, and that's going to be on my person. I'm going to bring a lot of wool.
Yeah, I think that one dude was in shorts still. I think Blake was in shorts, if I remember right. Now that you said that, a lot of wool.
Wool, a good set of boots, and the life vest, definitely. Everything about the boat or the kayak, canoe, whatever that was, pontoon. Yeah, I would have tried to make sure that everything that I had lost was floatable. Was waterproof and could float if it was dropped in the water. Because they make all kinds of bags that have those little sealed in air pockets that will help it float, or they have a styrofoam liner inside of it that will keep it floating. That way, you do get stranded, your boat's junk, but you're going to come across some of your luggage, some of your shit downriver. This is going to snag on something. Maybe not, but it increases your chances.
Right, yeah.
Just in case. So if your backpack gets lost, whatever, some clothes, it's floating, so it has a better chance of getting stuck on something.
Yeah.
And so is hindsight, yeah, that I would definitely go more prepared and pick a different season where I know I'm not going to go under ice. That's me. What about you?
Yeah. So going off of that, I keep trying to. My phone's extremely touchy, apparently. So when I'm scrolling, it's doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
I see you're over here laughing and giggling. Like, are you reading funny comments that I'm missing? What's going on here?
Well, because sometimes I don't know if it takes me off of your guys' streams, but I completely go away after I touch something and blows it up, and it's just you take up the entire screen, or the comments do. So I'm like, I don't know if anybody can even see me, or if I did something to where it's, geez, man, is it really that difficult?
No, you're looking good, man. You can just plug away, dude. You're good.
Hindsight, I shouldn't. I was gonna say something about the GPS thing again. Ever since I've seen those, I'm stuck on those. But I don't know that I'd be able to use it. Obviously, I can barely use a cell phone. So, but yeah, I'd have some type of that. And I hate to keep beating a dead horse over that, but those GPSs, they're satellite controlled. So I don't know if they would work in areas like that or not. I'm not going to go anywhere like that. If anybody else wants to go somewhere like that to try them out, let us know. I'll go in the shitty areas of Kansas and let you guys know, or maybe Colorado, but I ain't going to like Alaska or nowhere, where giant things are going to eat me and I'm possibly going to freeze to death. That's why I live in Kansas. I got mountain lions occasionally around here is the worst thing we got to worry about, are Yotes. I would definitely have something like that on me. My wife had bought some of their, I'm going to say Yugos, but I'm probably saying the wrong thing. I wish she was somewhere near, but I should have grabbed it now we're talking about it. And what it is a waterproof deal. You can put your phones in. They're extremely waterproof. guaranteed, like divers and stuff like that use them. In fact, they use the scuba gear stuff with the zippers to do these things, and they're buoyant also, so they're floatable, like you said, to put like my cell phone and stuff like that in. Exactly what you said with, you know, having stuff that floats. Most definitely, I would want stuff that floated. I may even daisy chain it together. I don't know if that's a good idea or bad idea, because if one item gets lost, you lose it all if it's daisy chained together. But I would definitely have a firearm or two, something like that, Yugo or whatever, to keep some ammunition in, just in case you did get wet. Hopefully you have some dry ammunition. I mean, I've shot some pretty sketchy ammunition that's been wet and stuff and it's fired, so you may not have to worry about that too bad. I have a couple sources to be able to light a fire with. That lighter's badass, it worked great, but I'd still, you know, ferro rod. I have a couple different things to start fires with, and ways to start good fires with it, you know, hot and sustainable fires. I probably would have tried to have another group with us. If nobody else wanted to go, I'd maybe see if the guys that flew us in there and dropped us off would come check, you know, like once every couple days, or, you know, something like that, versus, you know, a 5-day trip. But and this is all hindsight, because beforehand you wouldn't have known that something bad could potentially happen. But yeah, I don't know what else I'd probably do. Like you said, you know, the wool, most definitely. I don't know. Would it be a good idea to have like a weight? I mean, you obviously wear a life jacket, but do you want to attach yourself to like a raft? You know, is that a good idea? Or should you not? Is that a better way to drown? Or would like a, you know, some kind of lanyard attaching you to that raft be good, so that you could stay to basically all your equipment in a raft? Or is that just a way better way to drown? I don't know, because it seems like a good idea, hindsight on it, but you know, I'm not much of a water person.
It's just like, I don't know. You have the. I think it would be better not to be attached to the raft. Get off, get away from it, because it has more surface area that current is going to push against, and if that raft pins you against something,
yeah,
you're done, and you're gonna hit hypothermia really quickly in that water. So getting out and clinging to something, or getting to the shore as fast as you can, that'd be my thing. I wouldn't want to be attached to that raft in any way. I was just thinking about something. You know, when they had in the story that they had rounded the corner and there was a sheet of ice bridging the entire river. The raft went under the ice too, so the raft is getting all kinds of.
I didn't realize the raft was under.
Nasty, and it's probably beating up on stuff, and finally ends up not even seaworthy. You know,
Right.
By the time it comes to a stop somewhere, it's done for. So I think, and that's also hindsight.
Well, yeah, and that's you know, I don't know how many people raft, whitewater raft, or any of that, or raft in general, but I don't know if the water's there where they are, or fast enough where like even a helmet would have been helpful, because, you know, obviously I've seen some pictures of them, and they had huge gashes on their heads and stuff. So I don't know if that type of waters where you might tip over anyways, where you would want a helmet on. I don't know. Like, I guess I didn't read that of it to see if it was that type of
good idea
water or not.
Typically, you see whitewater rafter guys wearing helmets.
Yeah, that's what even made me think of it. And it sounded like the water was moving pretty fast, but then at some points in the story, it sounded like it was moving pretty slow. It was a nice, beautiful, you know, trip or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, got to wear the right gear, man. Bring the right stuff for the situation. And
yeah,
to me, it sounds like they were just out there for having fun, thinking everything was going to be perfect.
Yeah, and you know, this I better throw it in here because I didn't in the description or in any part of the beginning. You know, we are just doing this for fun. We are by any means, we are not experts. Please don't take any advice we give you or do not do anything we say to do at all. We just do this
Nope.
for fun. It's kind of fun. I want to see what happens in the comments. I want to see what other people say. And it's just fun to read these stories and kind of talk them over and see what you might do. And then later on, after I've watched them afterwards, and I'm like, man, and reread the stories afterwards, like after we did the last one, I'm like, man, this would have been better. This would have been better. So it actually helped to go back over it later and watch the video and read it again. And then it actually helped pick up on more stuff than what you actually had said anyways, because you're like, shit, I didn't think of that. Where was that at? But
when you play through scenarios,
the end of the article,
you are. Yeah, I have the article here. If you.
Yeah, I was just scrolling down because at the end of the article, they had an actual expert.
A week later, the sheet of ice is gone.
There. What's that?
Sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just saying at the end of the article, if you've got it pulled up, they had an actual expert survivalist that was talking about it and saying what he thought you should have done, or what he would have done and what they should have done and stuff like that as well. But then right as I was starting to kind of get into that, I was noticing what time it was. So yeah, that buzzed by pretty quick, man.
What is it? 6:55?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, we got just a couple of minutes, right?
Yeah.
Does we could talk to some folks in the chat. Looks like they're Skeeter Buzz.
Tupperware box for EDC floats or a Pelican box. That's probably not a bad idea, honestly. I never thought of it. I guess I don't know. If Josh is still on here, is it okay? I carry mine and get it wet regularly. It seems to function. Well, not seems to. It functions. I don't know. I've never submerged it completely underwater to see. I don't really want to, just to see. But it's been out in the rain. It's been out in the snow and all that good stuff. So I don't know. I still would. In fact, when I go to the river or anywhere like that, I still have mine on me. So,
right.
I don't know on that one. I understand that it's probably not the best idea, but
hey, you're welcome, Ohio Prepper. It does get us to think outside our usual situation, and carrying your EDC is just always carry that thing around with you, and that's why we do this. It gets us to game plan. It gets us to come up with the scenarios. And before I cut him off, I was saying that when we scenario stuff out in our minds, we come up with how would we survive this situation. 9 times out of 10, you're going to live through a situation if you happen to find yourself in it, because you've already thought through certain issues, certain problems that you've seen other things, you've talked through it, you've done that. It's like it's an exercise that you can do with your mind for these types of situations. So, and I like it because it's good for your brain. It's good for your brain. So, yeah, they think we're still. Too many people think too intense when they're stoned. I guess. What? Who's stoned?
I wish that was rips. That'd be pretty nice. I don't even drink no more. Dang it. I don't have water.
Oh, she saw I was eating good and plenties. No. I get random, so I can't. And I like my job, so.
Yeah, I love mine. Freezing water is not good for your brain.
Freezing water is not good for your brain. Actually,
Steve's not here, man.
actually,
sorry to interrupt you there. I couldn't help that one. I caught that one out of the corner of my eye.
no.
Jeez.
That's funny though.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people like to take swims in cold water. Kind of shocks you, you know. It kind of shocks the system.
Yeah. So I tried something a couple days in a row now. Canadian prepper. I watched a video of his the other day, and
no, it's not there, prepping mantis. No, it's become chode. Sorry, go ahead, buddy.
No, you're good. You're good. I just started giggling because, yeah. I started trying some stuff from like what a Canadian prepper was saying the other day, and I've heard it a lot of other people and everything. But you know, like right after you work out, you're supposed to take a cold shower, and I tried it, and it's horrible. It's not good. I don't like it. So yeah, cold water is horrible for you. It's horrible.
You
for
take cold showers after work every day. I mean, we're living in Kansas, man. It's freaking hot out, and I still haven't got used to the humidity from me. I moved from Washington down here, and I'm still not used to it. When I get home from work, I take the coldest damn shower I can. I keep telling me no, you shouldn't do that because then you'll just want to take another one after you get out. Oh man, someday I'll get used to it. I guess. I don't know. Maybe not. It's a Washington thing.
I've lived here my whole life, and I hate the heat, and I'm not used to it. My wife, she thrives in it. We're complete opposites because you know she's this big around 100 pounds, and she thrives in the heat, and I'm fat, so
I want to say take America back from brain freeze. Rub your tongue against the roof of your mouth. I do that, and it freaking works. Like you create that friction up there. You're like, I think it works. Honestly, I love that. But it is 7:02, my friend.
10-4.
And
yep. Let's hop off of here, man. Appreciate everybody coming in.
On Princess, good to see you. Good to see everybody. Thank you. We'll do this again next week. It looks like, right?
Yes, sir. Yep, we'll do it again. Same time, same place. Appreciate it.
Come on. All right.
Yep, have a good one, man.
Have a great night, folks. Bye, AJ.